input that you might have moving forward. But with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. Just 1 second. This is screen 3. All right, hopefully I shared the right screen. Can everybody see a mural with colorful sticky notes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Perfect. All right, so what I'm hoping that we can do today is basically just have that conversation and hear from all of you of your particular areas of interest or concerns or priorities regarding air quality in the international border community. I did some preliminary work just to help us organize our ideas, and I categorized different areas just based on stationary sources, mobile sources, land use, other. But this is not to say that these are the only areas. We can expand this mural in any way, shape, or form that we want. We can add different categories, or we can just start capturing information, and then based on themes, we can separate it and classify a little bit better. So don't worry too much today about the organization of the ideas. This is more of a brainstorm. What we want to do is really just hear any and all ideas. Don't be shy about thinking, oh, this is maybe too bold, or, oh, this is not good enough. We really want to hear everything that you have to say. So with that, I can start by maybe inviting anybody that has any initial thoughts about what would be some of the things that you would not want to miss that we address in the development of this community emissions reduction plan. And I'll ask Melina to help me with the hands because I can't see if anybody's raising their hands.
All right, guys, I'm watching the screen over here. If anyone has wants to add anything to these areas. This is usually not a very shy group, you guys. Go ahead, Alejandro.
All right, I'll just get the ball rolling. I think one of the biggest things that I've heard people mention to me through the community engagement work that I've done is for sure, obviously, the land port of entry, right? So people want to address the issue of the miles of cars that line up every morning and every afternoon on their way back to Tijuana. But then one of the other sources that I've heard that is very is being mentioned more and more is the sewage problem. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure how we want to phrase that, but the sewage odor and smell that is constantly being emitted in the Tijuana River Valley and from the sewage treatment plant is definitely a concern.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Chris, go ahead. I see your hand raised.
Yeah, my concern is the distinction as we build a plan between commercial vehicles and passenger vehicles, because although electric passenger vehicles or hydrogen passenger vehicles are viable and convenient to a certain extent, we're not just there yet for commercial Class 8 vehicles. So it'd be unfortunate, in my opinion, where we come up with a plan where we say, okay, you have to have Class 8 hydrogen and electric trucks when they're not built yet, the infrastructure is not there yet, and it basically ends with more diesel trucks on the road for a longer period in time, when you can transition those diesel trucks to natural gas trucks and then to hydrogen and electric once that infrastructure and those trucks are even available. And Elon Musk said he was going to release his electric truck again this year, and he's been saying that for the past 6 years. So to just be, realistic and take real steps that are within reach.
Thank you, Christopher, for those comments. Domingo's just making a quick note. And if anyone else has anything else that they'd like to add, remember this is going to be kind of setting the roadblocks for what this group is going to do. Go ahead, Wendy, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Sí, buenas tardes. También quería comentar lo de las aguas negras. Es un problema muy grande aquí en San Isidro porque yo tengo 10 años viviendo aquí en esta comunidad y sinceramente las aguas negras, el mal olor que es por todo San Isidro, nos afecta muchísimo. Estamos respirando, ni siquiera se puede respirar, no puedes salir afuera de tu casa, para estar tranquilo en tu patio, porque no se puede soportar el olor. No nada más lo digo yo como promotora de la comunidad voluntaria y miembro de esta comunidad de San Isidro, he escuchado las quejas de toda la comunidad, no nada más yo, de mis vecinos, grupos de aquí de Facebook, como un grupo de la comunidad de aquí de la colonia, que se llama WhatsApp San Isidro. Ese grupo también ahí muy seguido comentan los vecinos de aquí de esta comunidad de San Isidro que es muy insoportable ese olor que estamos respirando. No nada más nos afecta nuestra salud, sino que también nuestra salud mental. Así como que dices, ay, no, no aguanto ese olor, no puedo salir a caminar, no puedes, no sé, no te sientes a gusto andando afuera. Y creo que esto es algo muy importante que se debe incluir porque no nada más afecta tu salud, afecta también la salud de los niños. Gracias, ese era mi comentario.
Gracias, Wendy. Did you capture that, Domingo?
Yes, I added a check mark under odors from TJ River Valley.
Okay.
Just so that, if we have several comments under the same area, I can just, mark additional check marks.
Great, thank you. And then just as a reminder, for translation, if someone's speaking in Spanish and you don't understand Spanish, just go ahead and select the interpretation button at the bottom for English. And one of the interpreters is translating everything in English for you. The next person we have is Marisela. Marisela, go ahead and unmute yourself. Marisela, ¿puede hablar?
Sí, ok, buenas tardes. Yo también quiero comentar acerca del mal olor que tenemos ahí en San Isidro, porque a mí me preocupa porque la verdad no sé ni qué es lo que estamos respirando, qué gases son los que se están despidiendo del drenaje y cuáles serían los daños secundarios tanto para las personas mayores y los niños, junto con lo de la contaminación del aire debido a la línea internacional. Y pues ya son dos problemas, por lo menos ahí que tenemos, que no sabemos ni cómo se puedan solucionar. Y la verdad que toda la comunidad de San Isidro está muy preocupada. Yo también soy promotora de casa familiar y ahí es donde la gente nos hace alguna respuesta. Y pues debido a eso estamos nosotras aquí en este comité para poder tener alguna respuesta o algo que se pueda hacer para que esa gente esté tranquila porque está muy preocupada. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. La siguiente persona es Manuela. Manuela, por favor. The next person is Manuela.
Sí, muy buenas tardes. Disculpen que entré tarde.
Está bien.
Soy Manuela Castañeda de Casa Familiar y sí, también quiero hablar referente sobre las aguas negras. El problema es que yo vivo en un tercer piso aquí en San Isidro. Estoy retirada del santuario donde está este lago, donde viene a recaer todas las aguas negras del río Tijuana. Y hasta acá donde está mi apartamento llegan los olores. El sábado nos fuimos a caminar, nosotros, mi familia, salimos y no estuvimos en casa. Nos fuimos a caminar al Parque Balboa. Cuando regresamos en la noche, les estoy hablando como alrededor de 9:30 de la noche, más o menos a esa hora, había una pestilencia dentro del apartamento. De primero sí pensé que a lo mejor algo andaban haciendo arreglos y eso. Nunca me acordé del lago, pero lo que fue del domingo, también lo mismo cuando hizo mucho calor, me vine a Spring Valley y cuando veníamos por el freeway del 5 para subirnos por el 905, lo mismo fue el mismo olor a drenaje. Es demasiado nauseabundo este olor. Y lo que fue parte del lunes, el lunes ya de plano, sí, ya se me hizo mucho, hasta que ahora después tuvimos, con Alejandro tuvimos, hablamos sobre de esto, entonces ya pude acordarme que era parte del lago, pero sí, en realidad el olor es demasiado lo que se está expandiendo ahorita con el calor y parece como que en la noche este olor se siente más, es más fuerte. Yo tengo el problema que pronto voy a perder mi olfato y ya está mi olfato ya está por demasiado, yo huelo las cosas, soy muy sensitiva para los olores, pero ya para que tanto mi esposo como mi hijo lo notamos y mis vecinos. El día de hoy estuve hablando con ellos sobre este problema y también me dijeron el mismo problema, que por más que ellos traten de tener las ventanas cerradas, en todos modos ese olor sigue dando a nuestras viviendas. Entonces, ojalá que algo se pueda hacer y trabajar en este punto. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. La siguiente persona es, I'm sorry, the next person is Irma Cepeda. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Buenas tardes. Miren, pues yo también soy promotora de casa familiar y saben que yo pensaba que, bueno, aparte del olor de allá, pero como yo vivo en un RV, en trailers, yo pensaba que como todos tenemos las mangueras así para el drenaje, yo hasta salí y dije, ¿por qué huele tanto a drenaje? Y de hecho les pregunté aquí a las vecinas, les dije, ¿verdad que huele mucho a drenaje? Después, como a esta hora, empieza a oler hasta la madrugada, nos despierta el olor. Y yo ya de estar así con la traila, le agarro mucha agua y le enjuago todo el tanque que tiene donde se va. Y digo, no es esto, no es esto. Y ya les fui a preguntar a las señoras y sí es muy desagradable el olor ese. Pero yo no creo que sea de allá, entonces son las tuberías de aquí, de San Isidro, que a lo mejor ya están muy saturadas y está saliendo todo ese olor horrible, horrible. Bueno, pues era todo mi comentario, que todas tenemos el mismo olfato, todas. Y si gusta venirse a dar una vueltecita como a las 7 de la tarde, van a empezar, nomás pararse aquí en San Isidro Boulevard y van a empezar a oler mucho, huele mucho.
Gracias.
Gracias.
The next person we have is Leslie Gallegos. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Leslie, please.
Hi, thank you. Good evening. Well, I just want to re-emphasize that a lot of community members have been mentioning these environmental odors that seem to be getting worse with the hot weather as a result of climate change. And I just think it would be a good idea to monitor and pinpoint where these environmental odors are coming from. And also might be good to, like, for the mobile monitoring to drive through these areas that are experiencing these environmental odors. And that's my comment for now. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person we have is Elsa. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Elsa.
Hola, buenas tardes. Pues yo estoy también igual, no sé dónde prender la cámara, comentando acerca del olor que está aquí en San Isidro. También estoy igual con nuestras compañeras y de también la contaminación en la línea, que es bastante, es muchísima contaminación. No sabemos también qué es lo que pueda afectar esa contaminación a las escuelas que están cerca de la línea, en la consecuencia de la enfermedad que puedan tener los niños del asma y todas esas enfermedades que vienen derivadas a esta situación que estamos pasando aquí en el cruce fronterizo de San Isidro, Tijuana. Entonces, pues esas dos cosas son las que sí me parecen muy importantes tenerlas en cuenta, porque sí necesitamos que se tenga alguna solución, tanto la contaminación en la línea como el olor a drenaje que está aquí en San Isidro. Gracias.
Gracias por su comentario. The next person we have is Marisela. Marisela, go ahead and unmute yourself.
No, sabes que no bajé la manita, perdón.
Está bien. The next person we have is Alejandro. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. I think I also wanted to mention, and I saw that people wrote something down already regarding those topics, is the sensitive receptors close to the port of entry. So I think I also want to highlight the position some of our schools are in, like geographical positions. Like Willow Elementary School is right next to the 805 freeway. Like their backyard is literally adjacent to the freeway. As well as some parks are just like 2 steps away from the freeway. So I think bringing in resources, just because you were also asking about the SERP, right? Not just the monitoring plan, but the emission reduction plan as well. So reducing the not just the emissions, but the exposure that kids have by maybe, I don't know, like placement of more trees around the campus of elementary schools and parks, creating physical barriers that can maybe reduce the exposure that the community and especially kids are exposed to.
Thank you, Alejandro. Let's see, does anyone else have any other comments? I don't see any other. Jenny, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
I just wanted to add a little bit to what Alejandro said. Was it's not only the traffic and heavy duty traffic, but maybe the lack of separation between the traffic and people, whether it's the schools or pedestrians lining up next to the border. So lack of kind of barriers, helping protect people from traffic emissions. And then another thing is just kind of identification of safer places to exercise or in safer times, because again, of this proximity. So kind of a need for safe places to exercise, or at least identification of safer places.
Thank you for your comments. The next person we have is Nicholas. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah. So one of my big concerns for the Boulder region is the expansion and growth of warehouses in Otay Mesa. As our community continues to grow eastward on the 905, I'm concerned about the traffic that these giant warehouses are going to be producing with their trucks. And I'm concerned about, kind of piggybacking on the speaker before me, the separation in those communities. So, yeah.
Thank you for your comments. The next person we have is Hanja. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly.
It's fine. It's Han Yang.
Han Yang? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm a scientist in academia, and we heard that many community members have concern about toxic metal emissions, such as lead, mercury, which are bad for human health. And we find these toxic metals may come from vehicle emissions, industrial emissions, or even waste burning in Mexico. So also these toxic metals may even cause bad odors. So yeah, so that's what's my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd just like to remind everyone that this exercise will help us create, this will help us implement strategies in order to how to resolve air quality issues within San Ysidro. And this will also help, I don't know if you want to give a little bit more information on why we're doing this as well, Domingo.
Sure. And as when we started the exercise, I shared that, a lot of all the input that we hear today, we're going to incorporate into the development of strategies as we put together this community emissions reduction plan. And our goal is to partner with the appropriate agencies and look at this problem more comprehensively. As you can see, there's a variety of issues that are affecting air quality, right? Some are land use related, some are mobile sources, some are other environmental factors such as the sewage spills in the Tijuana River Valley. So as you can imagine, it takes an entire village, right, to be able to address all of these different issues. But that's the purpose of this group and of the steering committee, is to bring to light all of these different issues and also help identify solutions and potential strategies that can help us either mitigate the effects of the pollution or reduce the pollution. One thing that I wanted to comment, if I may take a few seconds here, it's very clear that odors from the TJ River Valley sewage spills is a big and an important concern for the community. In APCD, we are gearing up to start monitoring around the Tijuana River Valley and to get more data and information regarding the odors that are generated from the sewage spills. So as we continue to develop those efforts, we will definitely be sharing information with this group. And also we will incorporate some of those results that we get from our initial investigations and initial monitoring into the community air monitoring plan. So there's a couple of plans that just as a reminder for everybody, there's a couple of plans that we're going to develop with the steering committee. One is the community emissions reduction plan. So that will focus on reducing air emissions. And the other one is the community air monitoring plan. And that plan will focus on identifying sites for us to place air quality monitors and provide data that can help us inform both the needs for strategies and the effectiveness of the strategies that we identified to reduce pollution. So two plans that we're going to be working on in parallel. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback so far, but want to encourage you to think about other sources that perhaps are not too obvious, such as the smells. The smells, we have to deal with those, in a very direct way, right? But there might be other pollutants that we don't see that might be generated by different sources. So just wanted to remind everybody that, you know, think about anything that you can think of in your community that could be impacting air quality, and we can certainly bring that to the conversation.
Thank you, Domingo. We did receive a comment in the chat, and it's stating from Mariano, was the recent sewer pipe burst event mentioned regarding smells from the river valley, and what kind of response, if any, would be appropriate for that type of rare event?
So yes, there was a lot. I mean, we did receive a lot of input already on the odors from the TGA River Valley. I don't know that a specific pipe burst was mentioned, but I mean, it's already in the chat, so we can capture that. But it's definitely under that same category of odors from the TGA River Valley and potential health effects from that. So thank you, Mariano, for your comment.
Thank you. And the next person we have that has their hand raised is Alejandro. Alejandro, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I have plenty of these. I'm just trying to, you know, give them little by little to give a chance for everybody else. But there's two comments that actually come to mind that have not been mentioned before. One of them is there's a immigration station, I would call it. Maybe it's like a hub for CBP. Right next to an apartment complex called Villanueva here in the community, that there has been a lot more action from what I hear from community members. A lot of off-road vehicles coming in and out the whole day. When their shifts change, you know, all those agents that were out on the field come back there as a base to get their cars and go home, and the new shift gets there and leaves from there. And also the 905, the Freeway 905 is the designated truck route. So, you know, those heavy duty trucks go from the US-Mexico border down onto the 5 the whole day. And I think it ties into the comment that was mentioned not too long ago about the development that's happening there, and the concern with the warehouses as well. So I don't know if it'd be possible, maybe like one creative solution would be to address the issue at its root with the warehouses and the trucks, but also as well maybe creating more rigid regulations for developers that are building in Otay Mesa right now, to have a better filter system or something along those lines to at least address exposure, while we also address the route down the line.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you. Next speaker we have is David. Go ahead and lower your hand, please. I'm sorry, you unmute yourself.
Great, thank you. So Alejandro beat me to the one of the Border Patrol station and the ATVs, but another concern, or something that just noticing in the work in San Isidro, is there's usually a handful of heavy duty trucks parked over the 805 bridge on Bayer, and I'm not sure if it's just a matter of signage for those heavy duty trucks, because it has to go through the community of San Isidro. And so that's just something else to note.
So you mentioned this was on the bridge that goes across the 805?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I know which ones you're talking about. By the way, for those of you who might not know, I used to live in San Isidro some time ago. So I'm relatively familiar with the community and a lot of these issues too.
All right, I don't see any other hands up for the moment. Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to add? Anybody that has not had the opportunity to speak? Oh, wait, hang on, just received something on the chat from Zach. Says a general priority under mobile sources, improving infrastructure and services that encourage low or no emission mobility via modes like walking, biking, and transit, and bus, trolley, etc. This is especially important for trying to reduce the vehicle queuing at the border crossing and related emissions. Thank you for your comment, Zach. I see that Alejandro, you have another, let's see. Alejandro, you have another comment? Go ahead and lower your hand. I'm sorry, unmute yourself.
I got what you meant. So another actually like pretty long queue line that gets formed seasonally is the one by Las Americas in Camino de la Plaza going into Terry-Mart. So because of the really good deals at Las Americas, we'll usually get starting on Black Friday and ending until January, we'll get very heavy traffic going from Las Americas down to onto the freeway, the 5 freeway. And that's every year. My parents live there, so I try to avoid visiting them during the holidays, and that's terrible. But the queue lines are horrible. This is where I'm getting at.
Thank you, Alejandro. Next person you have is Jenny. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm like Alejandro. I have little different things, but I'm trying not to take up too much time. But just one question as other sources. Of course, heavy duty trucks are a big concern, but two things. One is even gasoline powered vehicles, like just queuing up can really potentially give toxic vapors like benzene or potentially increase those kind of things during the queues, especially at the border, like Alejandro said. So like, you know, what emissions are coming from these just large quantities of idling vehicles, even if they're not commercial trucks, is a question. And then other sources such as the train that goes through in the middle of the night, you know, is that producing, you know, diesel particulate that could accumulate on a night with the air was very still. And trains is a question I had. Again, we're just brainstorming here. And then I've heard people talk about the airport, Brownfield Airport, or even Tijuana Airport as potential having emissions that affect the community during certain wind conditions.
Thank you. Next person we have on here is Leslie. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. So there's actually two things. I'm not sure how this can be addressed or like how it can be fixed, but I mean, the issue of border wait times, like we know it contributes to a lot of air pollution, and I just think the most obvious solution would be to reduce those wait times by staffing the border. And that's been an ongoing issue because we have the infrastructure set like PedWest, but it remains closed because there isn't the staff there. And also a way that I think would be good to mitigate the effects that the community sees of air pollution would be to have either like an incentive or discount program for air purifiers for indoors as a way to minimize and mitigate the outdoor effects as well as the indoor effects.
Thank you. Did you capture everything, Domingo? I know that was a lot of information, so I want to make sure you have a moment to type.
Thanks. Thank you. Yes, I think I did. And also, if not, just so that everybody knows and feels more comfortable, if you don't see everything captured here, we have this session is being recorded. So my plan is to also go back and listen again to see and make sure that we're capturing all of the input. And like I said, in future meetings and also as we develop these subcommittees to work on strategies, there's also going to be opportunity to you know, listen to some of these concerns and also add additional ones.
Thank you. Next person we have on here is Mariano. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted to add another for the border wait times. Definitely a concern for me. But another one I wanted to bring up was I know there's some old wells here in the river valley. I don't know how long ago they may have been capped or if they were just exploratory, but they still show up like on Frac Tracker or the National Energy Petrochemical Map. Do those ever get inspected periodically to see if they have any emissions, gas emissions?
I don't think we have that answer for you at this time, but I'm sure we can add that and look into it.
Immediate answer.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead and look into that for you, but we have made note of that. The next, and thank you for your comments, Mariano. The next person we have is Christopher. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, just hearing a little bit about the idling vehicles coming in from Mexico or going to Mexico. One of the issues we ran into when thinking about commercial 8 trucks crossing in the commercial port in Otay, electric trucks, is the wait time to cross. So if you have an electric truck and you're running, you know, your air conditioning, you have the radio on, and that truck already has a low battery, then that could be a problem if that truck is waiting in line for 8 hours. Now, I think the same is true for the passenger vehicles. If that car shows up low battery coming in from Mexico to the United States, maybe not such a big problem going from the United States to Mexico, but it's on low battery, that car dies, and you have a bunch of cars blocking traffic, that could be a big issue. So maybe consider having mobile chargers or that sort of thing for the vehicles that are close to running out of battery on a hot day and they're running their air conditioning and listening to the radio.
Thank you for your comments. I was going to say, or maybe a line specifically for electric vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. A fast lane.
Let's see. I don't see. Oh, I think there was a comment on here from Alejandro. It says, community member today told me that Brownfield Airport is now seeing a lot of military jet activity as well, not only small private jets as before. So that is in the chat, Domingo.
All right, thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have any other comments? I don't see any other hands raised at the moment. Okay, I don't think I see going once, going twice. All right, take it away, Domingo.
All right, thank you, everybody. So as you can see, we took a lot of notes here, but again, we're gonna go ahead and review the meeting again. And as I said in the beginning, we're bringing this back to make sure that we include input from those who were not able to join us today. But there's definitely a lot of concerns that we heard tonight regarding odors from TJ River Valley and potential health effects arising from that. I know that this is certainly a multi-pronged approach that will be needed to solve this. As all of you mentioned, this is generated by sewage, and we know that some of those sewage, the sewage spills that are generated on the Mexican side of the border are, something that we don't have the ability to regulate directly, but there's a lot of involvement and a lot of work going on currently with agencies from both sides of the border and here in the US at the local, regional, and federal level to look into this issue. Our chair of our board, Chair Vargas, declared this a public health emergency, and with that, there's a lot of added attention that is being placed into this issue. So something that is certainly at the top of a lot of people's minds and a lot of regulatory agencies' minds. But as I said, at APCD, one of the immediate steps that we're taking to be able to get a better understanding of what's in the air that's being generated from the sewage spills at TJ River Valley is doing that monitoring. Also, the port of entry, it's one of the more obvious concerns in the community. As we have all the traffic that's generated by the port of entry, both going into the U.S. and out of the U.S. into Mexico. There was mention also about the traffic generated by the Las Americas outlets, and also just the community being surrounded by the different freeways, the 805, the 5, and the 905. So a lot of important challenges for us, but all things that we can take a look at and try to identify potential strategies and solutions for. So thank you everybody for all of your input tonight, and I want to encourage you to continue thinking about this. Again, this was just a start of this conversation, so don't feel like this is going to be the only time that you can provide your input. And I encourage you to continue thinking about other potential sources, other potential areas of concern or priorities, and send those to Melina or to me. Melina, if you can support me with just providing our email addresses on the chat, so that people can, anybody can have those and contact us if you think of any other issues, and so we can incorporate it here into our mural. And again, for our next meeting, I'm hoping that we can start identifying. We'll work on organizing all of the ideas here a little bit better. And for our next meeting, I'm hoping that we can start organizing subcommittees that can do a deeper dive into all of these issues and start looking at identifying potential strategies. Another thing that's coming for our next meeting will be a presentation on enforcement activities, so that you can know what at the state level and at the local level at APCD, what we are doing to enforce regulations to address some of the very challenges that are being identified here today. So it's a good point for us to start with what's taking place currently, what's happening right now, and then build on those efforts to take things a step further and reduce emissions even further. So with that, Melina, I'll turn it over to you. I don't know if we have any public comments unrelated to the presentation today.
I just wanted to add and let everybody know that if you added any comments into the chat, that has also been captured as well. I know that there was a last minute comment in there, and I went ahead and captured that one as well. I also wanted to add, I know that there was a few inquiries as far as stipends. I just want to let everybody know that we are also working on those, and we're recording all the meetings that you are attending, and those will be retroactive. And then the next item that we have is, does anyone have any public comments that they would like to make? Please let me know. I'm watching see if anyone has any hands up, any public comments that they would like to make at this moment. David, I think I know which comment you're going to make, but go ahead.
I have two comments. You know which one I'm going to make.
Yes.
So for the community, and for anybody actually, just a reminder that California Clean Air Day is October 5th, and the supervisor is reaching out to all the communities in her district to take the pledge and do something to pledge to do something on that day, or to pledge something for Clean Air Day. The second one is that the supervisor does have an event that's unrelated to air quality, but it has to do with women's reproductive rights, and that's this Saturday, starting at 9 o'clock. And I can send Melina the link to share with everybody. But I just wanted to make those announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And I will be sure to send that information out to the entire distribution list. Anyone else have any other public comments that they'd like to make at this moment? Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. Do you have any final remarks, Domingo?
Nothing to add from my end. I just thank everybody again for their participation today and encourage everybody to continue engaging with us.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be on September 21st. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out. Did you have an inquiry there, Christopher? I saw you turn on your camera.
No, I'm just moving around a lot and fiddling with my phone. So a lot of them are accidental presses. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Okay, the next meeting is on September 21st. I'll go ahead and sending out some more information. And like I said, if anyone has any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to myself or Domingo, and we'll be happy to assist. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a great evening. This concludes our meeting for tonight.
Good night, everybody. Buenas noches.
Thank you. Buenas
Thank you.
noches.
Everyone.
Buenas noches a todos.
Thank you,
Gracias.
guys.
Thank you.
Gracias, grupo. Nos vemos.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches a todos. Que descansen.
Buenas noches.
Gracias, Irma. Igualmente, buenas noches. Buenas
Buenas
noches,
noches
Marisela.
para
Nos vemos.
todos.